Welcome back. Therapy in its many forms can be helpful to a lot of people. I personally am a proponent of therapy, but lately we've been hearing about what's been used as language of therapy to do more harm than good. We are talking about weaponizing therapy speak this Wellness Wednesday. All right, so we want to talk this out with Mary Jo Horton. She's here to, as always, to help us navigate this. So Mary Jo, first of all, this is something that you feel pretty passionately about.
I do.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like my purpose in life is to help people talk about their mental health and feel good about connecting around that. And to think that people are using it to harm is really upsetting.
And using it to harm and using the language of therapy and therapists to control other people.
That's right. It's pretending to be an expert and pretending to use language in order to seem that I am better than, I know more, and therefore you must listen to me and I'm going to have power and control over you.
So clearly a lot of people have heard about this. We've seen articles, Jonah Hill, the actor, and his then girlfriend, and some things that she released, some messages he sent her, and some of the things he was saying, you see this playing out in that.
Absolutely. I think it's very impactful when you see it in words.
Yes.
Normally somebody will explain to you like something is happening and they're sharing this, and when you don't have full context, it can be difficult to navigate. But I definitely think seeing it just in its raw form was very upsetting.
And so what are some examples that you would give of how this plays out? I know that's a kind of a big
Right.
question.
I think that, you know, sometimes people who are the person who is doing the abusing tells the other person that they're gaslighting them. Like, oh, I didn't really do that. I didn't say that to you. You're trying to make it out to be different.
But really, they're gaslighting
that is correct.
Yeah.
Or they'll say things like that whole boundaries. Like you need to respect my boundaries. Or when people talk about like relationship things, I hear a lot of like, you're triggering me. You not agreeing to me. You not doing what I want is really a trigger for me. Like people are using these words. And it's really terrible because, you know, when you hear the words, your immediate thought is they know what they're talking about. Yeah. But they're really just doing it in order to say it so that the other person will concede to them.
But because they sound knowledgeable, it's hard to pick up on it.
That's correct. Yeah. It's not the typical language of abuse, and so it can be very difficult to think about.
Okay, so it can be very harmful, and it doesn't present as traditional abuse, just like you said.
Yes, and when people go to explain it to loved ones, what their partner is saying, it sounds confusing. Like, oh, they're talking about their boundaries. Maybe this person is trying to communicate with you.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't have the typical patterns, and then it really then harms you as a person, and also then tries to harm you trying to learn therapy terms, because now you're all mixed up.
Well, and harms you trying to learn therapy terms, but also just harms therapy anyway in a culture where we're still getting people to realize therapy can help.
That is correct. And so the last thing that people need is for people to hear like, oh, those therapy terms, you know, that's not really a thing, right? We don't want the pendulum to swing where we just assume that everybody using therapy terms is harmful and negating the whole idea. And we certainly don't want to be increasing stigma around getting help.
Okay, so let's talk about what we do about it, some signs and strategies. So the person's intent, you say, with language is most powerful to focus on.
That's correct. Why are they saying this to me? What are they trying to gain? What is this about?
Tuning into connection versus isolation and harm.
What happens when we're in an abusive situation? We isolate, we can engage in some thoughts of self-harm or worse, but it's more important to connect to as many people around you so you have more feedback. So you have more information to go on rather than what that person is saying.
Okay, so we're talking about connecting with other people who you trust.
Correct.
Who you trust. Okay, and then remembering one's values and worth, continue to connect with others.
Yes, at the end of the day, we have to lean back on, I know that I do not deserve somebody telling me things that is made to make me feel terrible.
Okay, and then this last one, let's stretch this out a little bit, because resist engaging in debate or trying to appease them with change.
Right, this is classic in abuse situations. What happens is you try to debate the person out. You try to explain to them your side of it. You try to then compromise and do some of these things of isolating yourself or changing your behavior. So if I make you happy, you'll stop being this way. But that's exactly what the abuser is hoping for, and then at some point we're participating in the abuse.
So do not
No,
engage.
there's no sense.
Yeah.
Talking to somebody who is simply trying to harm us, we are never going to convince them to don't harm us.
And it sounds like trust your own knowledge
Correct.
of yourself, the relationship, and what you know.
And, you know, I talk about this sometimes, trust your body.
Yeah.
If you feel nauseous, if you feel queasy, if you're constantly anxious when the person is communicating with you, your body is telling you that instinctually you know that there is something wrong with this.
Toxicity.
You feel it.
Shows up, you feel it.
Yes.
You do. All right. Mary Jo, thank you so much. I know, like I said, you care about
Yes.
this. It angers you.
It very much angers me.
Yeah. All right. She doesn't get angry a lot, so there you have it, folks. All right, Mary Jo, thank you. Tina?